welcome back to the channel. I've got another video with a bit of a different theme today. I've been reflecting on why I made this channel in the first place. And while the main point is to educate people on the real and sustainable ways they can make changes to their lives so they can be healthy for as long as possible, the other reason is because I want you all to realize that you're the ones in charge of your health, and the main person you should be relying on is yourself. The world is going through massive changes, and a few weeks ago I mentioned AI, but there are changes coming that might make life very difficult if you are someone that relies on health systems to save you when your health goes south. Now, what exactly am I saying? Because of course, health systems are necessary and life-saving. When people are going through acute illnesses or needing treatment for serious health conditions, they are in the best position to help. We definitely need the health systems for these. But I want to focus on chronic conditions for a second. These are your lifestyle related conditions. This means that the lifestyle you live is a large driver for the development of the condition. And these are the things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, some of the things that I have been talking about on this channel already. These are extremely common health conditions that many adults experience. Now in Australia, nearly 50% of people have at least one chronic health condition. In America, it's 60%, that's more than half the population. And these conditions cost health systems huge amounts of money. Chronic health conditions are estimated to cost the American health system $4.1 trillion a year. And the reason this is also important is because health systems are entering a period where they are going to struggle with demand, and worst case scenario, choices will need to be made on who needs the most urgent care. Now, we heard about situations like this happening during the pandemic, but that problem with the health system hasn't gone away. And if you don't want to have to rely on a health system that may or may not be able to help you, the best thing you can do for yourself is try to prevent these chronic health conditions from developing. And this helps you, but it also helps the overall health system. So it's time to talk about what is actually going on that is making me say all of this. Why are health systems struggling, and why is it going to get worse before it gets better? Health systems are very complex machines, and I'm definitely not an expert, but I will be focusing on three main things that are going on in the world now and how they are going to make things difficult moving forward. And those things are the aging global population, health workforce shortages, and the current economic crisis and increasing cost of living that the world is experiencing. So let's start with the aging population. People are living for longer, and that's thanks to the developments that we have made in hygiene, healthcare, and living conditions in general. People get to enjoy lives well into their 60s and some into their 80s and beyond. And as a result, countries all over the world are seeing increases in the amount of their population that are older. For example, in 2020, there were more people in the world aged 60 and over than there were children under 5 years old. By 2030, which isn't that far away, 1 in 6 people in the world will be over 60 years old. This trend is already visible in more developed countries. 30% of the population in Japan is over 60 years old. A lot of this is to do with the fact that baby boomers are now getting into retirement age. Now, the reason they are called baby boomers, or boomers as we know them, is because they were born during a huge birth rate spike that happened after the war. People were having lots of kids, and that created a generation with a large population boom, who are now all getting old at the same time.
Squidward, yeah, Squidward, yeah, Squidward.
So why is this a bit of an issue? Well, people need care and looking after when they get older. I've said before, many of the health conditions that I talk about on this channel don't really give off symptoms or affect your life until things are quite wrong. And that's usually once you get to the age of 60 and beyond. We are entering a period in which the healthcare system is going to be needed even more, and there will be a lot of pressure to make sure that these aging baby boomers are taken care of. And in order for health systems to keep up with this, they will need a large workforce. Which brings me to point number 2. We have a health workforce shortage already. How are we going to cope with the huge need that we will be having in the next few years? Now, currently it's expected that by 2030 we will have a shortfall in about 10 million healthcare workers. In Australia alone, we are expecting a shortage of more than 100,000 nurses and 2,700 doctors in the next 3 years. And by 2050, we're expecting a shortage of aged care workers by about 200,000 people. America is needing 124,000 more doctors and even more nurses in the next 10 years. And in England, the NHS is experiencing a shortage of up to 570,000 workers in the health system. You do the math. There simply are not enough people at the moment to keep up with the demand of health workers that we will need. And it's going to be very hard to train up that many people in the short amount of time that we have. But there is one final piece to this puzzle, and that is the current economic crisis and rising cost of living. The global pandemic led to a very injured economy. Inflation is out of control, and in an attempt to fix that, interest rates have gone through the roof, and this is hurting so many people. Housing, energy, and food prices have all been rising, in some cases reaching record highs. It's becoming very expensive to simply exist in this world at the moment. Now, governments are being very conservative with their budgets, and in a time where we need to expand the health system because of what's coming with the aging population, it will be difficult for governments to find the money to do this. And we are seeing this already. The most recent budgets from both the Australian and American governments included reduced spending in healthcare for the first time in a decade. And regardless of what the government is doing, the average individual is going to have trouble affording basics like medication on top of the already expensive cost of living. So hopefully you are now starting to see the picture. The global economic landscape, along with the aging population and shortage of healthcare workers, are leading us right into a situation where health systems are going to be struggling to keep up. And what can you do about this? There is only one thing you can take control of, and that is your own actions and your own health. Preventative health is the key here. The chronic conditions that are plaguing the developed world are preventable to some degree. We need to start living healthier lifestyles that encourage longevity. And while everything is increasing in price, you may tell me you can't afford to eat healthy and live the healthy lifestyle that I'm talking about. You don't need to do anything fancy. Just walking for 30 minutes a day reduces the risk of heart disease by 35% and diabetes by 40%. If 30 minutes is too much, start with 10, work up to 30 minutes, then work up to doing more than a walk. It's the small, persistent changes that you continue to do for the rest of your life that will make all the difference. This is playing the long game. The world is changing. It's becoming more important than ever to start to look after yourself. Don't rely on others to save you. Don't rely on a health system that may not be able to prioritize you. Rely on yourself. Now, when a heart attack or a stroke happens, you can't possibly hope to save yourself on your own. You're going to need the professionals and the experts for that. But you can build a strong heart long before that happens. You can create conditions that prevent these things from happening. That is why I made this channel, to educate you all on the chronic health conditions and teach you how to live a life that aims to prevent them happening. And I'm not saying this is a 100% foolproof method. You can live the healthiest lifestyle ever and still get a heart attack. You can still get cancer. That's just how life is. But at least you know you did all you could. So join me if you want, and we can try to do this together. Now, I'm by no means the pinnacle of health. Like everyone, I'm trying to find a balance of living a healthy lifestyle while still enjoying life. And I think that's the hardest part. But just start. That's all it comes down to. And with that, I will end this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed. There's a new video every week, and if you have any questions, just comment. I'll do my best to answer them. Until next time, keep playing the long game.